All right, let's get back into it. So in the last episode, we did the Jagras quest, and this one we just finished, or I just finished it. I finished talking to the guy over there. I didn't want to, I'm not doing this series for the story or anything, so I'm kind of just gonna skip through most of the story stuff, and sometimes sort of cut it out when it's at the start of the video, or if it's long enough, I might cut it out in the middle of the video. To be a little transparent, the editing, or the way I edit my videos, if I don't have to cut anything out in the middle, it actually makes it way faster for me to do the editing process. Like, I can do it in the matter of like 10 minutes of video or something like that, relatively quick. But if I have to cut things out, I have to use a different program, and that program takes a lot longer to render, something like 30 minutes to an hour, depending the video and all that. So basically, we'll see. I'm maybe being a little overly transparent, but so here's the smithy. I was thinking about if I wanted to cut this out or not, but the smithy is such an important part. By the way, this isn't actually the smithy. This is the armory person who's still somewhat useful to talk to. And I sort of wanted to show off the forge and making armor and weapons and skills and stuff, because it's such a vital portion of this game. So she does sell the defender armor. I don't know, is this looks like it's the same as the Guardian set? It might be the same as the Guardian set. It looks the same as the Guardian set. Just doesn't have Guardian in its name. I can't remember if the other one is Guardian set. So yeah, if you can get this, I would highly recommend it. I'm not gonna do it because reasons I said in the last episode. I'd rather keep low on my armor to sort of show off. Not like show off and like, oh, look how good I am. Just watching me, you'll see that. But to show like how important defense and playstyle is to your gameplay, because getting high armor value is good and important. It's like very important in this game to be able to survive a hit, because you're always going to get hit. And even like veteran hunters, like for certain monsters like Kieran, I'll build an armor set, or like Valhazak, I'll build an armor set to fight them, because defense is that important. But generally speaking, if you know how to play the game well enough, you shouldn't be getting hit too much, and as a result, defense diminishes in value, and defense is more there so that you don't instantly die from any hits, and you have room to make a little bit of errors, but for the most part, because of your experience, knowledge, and skill, you should be able to just, not take many hits and beat the monster. So right now I have the Buster Sword equipped. I don't think we start with the Bone Blade, so I might, didn't mean to talk to her again. I might switch over to the Bone Blade if I don't smith something better, because the Bone Blade has higher damage value, although the sharpness is worse. And for Greatsword, it's really nice to have that high damage value. Although what we're going to want to do ideally is rush green sharpness. So most important of all, early game, is to get your weapon to green sharpness. So move my mouse in a way it doesn't highlight other weapons. Over here, you have this little yellow bar, and then there's these mini bars underneath to the right that showcase what handicraft will give you. Handicraft being an armor skill that increases the sharpness of your weapon. At the very end of it, there's green sharpness, this little green bit right there. That's for the sword we're using right now. The upgrade of this sword, though, bam, green sharpness. This game gives you green sharpness really fast. I can't remember if older games did or didn't. You do not, Bone Blade 2 won't get green sharpness. So even though I might start to work towards it, I don't think I'm going to use it yet. I thought this was going to be this will probably be Great Jagras, so we're not going to get those yet. So I'll stick with this. 432 versus 528. So there's a pretty good damage difference there. See, 528, 432. The reason that they're at the same tier of weapon, both rarity 1, and this one has way less damage, is because of that sharpness. Sharpness indicates or tells you a couple things about, like, well, if you'll bounce off a monster or not. Higher sharpness makes you bounce less off of the hard portions of a monster. And if you bounce, you lose time because the animation goes longer, because now you hit them and then you get whacked back and get flinched a little bit. It leaves you vulnerable, which isn't good. You'll get hit a lot because of it. And it halves the damage you do on that hit and stops you from doing a further combo. So bouncing is really bad in this game. I'll probably tell you guys a story later of my fight when I was learning Monster Hunter 2 against the Yoncut Coup, where I brought a bone, sword, and shield and didn't bring many whetstones because at the time I barely knew this game. And it led me to bouncing my attack like the entire fight. And I was unable to kill the monster and the time ran out. I'll tell the story. I'm already telling the story a little bit and giving away most of it. But anyways, bouncing is bad. So early on, being able to not bounce is great. This game gives you infinite whetstones that you always have. So the problem I had against the Yoncut Coup in Monster Hunter 2 isn't really a thing you should have anymore because you can always sharpen. But yellow sharpness, you will bounce against a lot of monsters except for their weakest points usually. And the other thing about sharpness is sharpness also increases the damage you do. I can't remember the value. I think yellow sharpness is a 1.05 multiplier to damage for melee weapons. Range weapons don't have sharpness, so never mind that. Just weapons. And green, I think, is 1.32 if I remember correctly. Double check my numbers if you care enough. It's probably not important enough to check, but that's effectively saying like a 30% boost in damage. Maybe it's 20%. You know, maybe I'm way out of the park with my numbers, but it's all I know is green sharpness is very important, and that I guarantee you. Especially if you use an elemental weapon. So it's good to rush a weapon with green sharpness if you can, no matter what weapon you use. If you're playing the bow, there's no sharpness, so you can see that this is lower value, this is higher value damage. So there's some other benefits you can get on other weapons like the bow. In this case, it's just these coatings. You can get paralysis and poison on the bow, which is actually pretty good. Early on, poison and paralysis could be pretty helpful if you want to get those files, and that's good. But power files are pretty good, so using an iron bow does allow you to use those power files. But my recommendation with bow, probably go for the bone bow, because then you can do para and poison, and early on those things can help you a lot by giving you good opportunities to dish out damage. Especially if you go online to hunt with other people. If you can do paralysis when you're with a bunch of other hunters, oof, you're gonna make your hunts go much better. But I'm just gonna do single player. I'm not gonna hunt with other people in this game at all. Maybe at some key points, but I feel like I can show off monsters a little better. Again, you don't have to copy me with what I'm doing exactly, but I'm trying to show off some gameplay that will help you as a player be able to hunt better, even if it's in a group. So I'm just gonna upgrade this hat real quick, get a little bit of extra defense. So I was just saying, in Iceborne they introduced defender weapons, which are these really powerful weapons just right from the get-go that help you blaze through Monster Hunter. I'm gonna craft it, but I'm not gonna use it yet. Maybe at some point I will. For now, I won't. I would highly recommend you using these defender weapons. I'm gonna stick to the bread and butter path down and not really rush through the game because I'm trying to show off the game. I'm just gonna talk to this person. I can't remember what talking to them does, but it has an exclamation mark, and I recommend talking to everybody that has exclamation marks because Capcom intends you to talk to them, and if you care about the story, it'll explain things and help things make sense. Here's a case where the exclamation mark is giving us a optional quest, which some of these can be very useful to do, and at some point, as boring as they might be, the purpose of this is showing off Monster Hunter and the reality of it, and sometimes Monster Hunter can be kind of boring, but I can show you how it can still sort of be fun while it's boring. It is a little disingenuous for me to say boring and then be like, oh, but look how it can be fun. What I mean by boring is more like it's not. When I hear people complain about Monster Hunter, a lot of times it's about gathering. A lot of times it's about egg missions and things like that. And to be honest, they are some of the least exciting and hardest to enjoy elements of Monster Hunter, in my opinion. But I've had tons of fun with them in the past. So I think it's a possibility, and if you're open to it, like, you can still enjoy them. But like, there's a lot of times I just honestly don't enjoy them, and I'll show you how to just get through them quick, why it might be important to do them. It would be a good opportunity for me to just have a chat for us to chill. Maybe I can explain some stuff. I can talk about myself. I can talk about stupid things that I think about. We can just have, just a nice chill time with those. But again, I think they're a vital part of this game, so I'm not gonna cut them out. I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna do them. I'm gonna try to. The only things I'm gonna cut out of this game are things that I really don't think there's any benefit to showcasing to people, or like, having people come along with on that journey. So one thing I'm gonna do right now, first thing is get a box up. Or not a box, get my item pouch set up, turn it into a loadout, because loadouts are going to be really nice, really helpful to have, and I'm going to show off how to do that, because I'm going to use it consistently. Like, loadouts are going to save you a bunch of time and be really useful. I'm actually going to, so right now I'm getting all my potions out. So potion, mega potion, put them in the inventory. I'm gonna put away the needleberries. So I'm just hitting F 3 times in order to put stuff away. I don't use bow. Empty files go away. Raw meat. Early on, I'm actually just gonna keep this raw meat in. Later, I'm gonna take it out of my loadout. But, well, we do have rations. No, I'm gonna show it off just in case. But in Monster Hunter Iceborne World in general, Capcom has been really nice to just give people a lot of stuff. So we have Dust of Life, Wet Fish Fins, Mega Potions that were just given to us for like anniversaries or first time playing, or things like that. Special events, just like gifts being like, here, enjoy. So we're starting out with a lot of resources actually. There's not many herbs. For now, I think I'll just put the herbs away. So now that I have all the things in my inventory I want antidotes, potions, mega potions, rations for recovering stamina, and then raw meat because I'm going to cook it to make some well-fed steaks. Is that right? Well-cooked steak? I can't remember what they're called, but they're the best version of the steak that will restore a lot of stamina. And then I'm going to hit Tab to auto sort. I personally like auto sort. If you like things arranged differently, you can hit N on the object and then click where you want it to go. So if I want my rations at the end here, like, stamina goes over here, or maybe I want like potions on this level, antidotes on this level, stamina on that level, I can do that. But for me, I just do auto sort. I think that's fine. I just get used to it and accept it that way. None of these I will really need. Once I get 10 herbs, I might just start bringing them, because then you can make more potions out of them if you start running out of potions in the middle of a fight, but you can also just go back to base and pick up a bunch of potions. So now that I have this set up, I'm going to hit X to manage loadout. This is actually a loadout they start you out default. That's actually pretty good. That's mostly what we want. But I'm actually going to ride over this by hitting R, save item to loadout, overwrite radial menu loadout. I guess we'll do that next. Sorry for not really jumping into the action, but these are some of the important parts. And I'll try to, with the first video or the second video, which is this one, put in the description once I get to it, what video to start out for if you want to just learn how to hunt big monsters and you don't want all the stuff I'm sort of doing. I'll maybe, we'll see, because I don't want to bore people with all this information, but this is important information if you don't already know it. So register loadout, and now I can just hit F to use the loadout and use the radial menu. You can hit Control on your loadout to edit radial menu. So this is new in Iceborne, and this is great. This helps a lot. Ooh. I have not actually used this yet because I had all my radial menus set up before when I was playing Monster Hunter World, and they didn't have this little setup thing in the loadout box. So this is really nice. So I can hit Control and switch to the way it looks on keyboard and mouse. A lot of you might be using a controller, so maybe it'd be good for me to show off how to use this. But I'm just gonna do what makes sense for me. And I'm gonna show off how to use, or how to set it up using the keyboard settings right here. So there's 1 through 8 that exists on your radial menu for keyboard. So that means if I hit numbers 1 through 8 on the top bar of my keyboard, I can use an item. So I can use Whetstone on 1, which I like. I actually don't like Easy Rations there, so I'm gonna switch that with potions. So potions are gonna go there, and then Mega Potions gonna go there, which makes sense to me. Then I'll put rations, easy rations. Most missions will give you easy rations, so I think they're important enough for now, at least, to put on the hot bar. SOS Flare is really useful. A lot of you might want to use that for missions that you're struggling with to call in people, or even just missions that you just want to play with random people on the internet and have them join. I don't know how good the early game is with random people joining in to help you with hunts. So even if you use it, you might not end up getting a lot, but it's what it is. So for me, I'm just gonna actually put on 5 crafting of potions. Ooh, that is nice. I didn't know you could do 1 by 1 or all as an option when putting crafting on your radial menu. For me, I'm just gonna do 1 by 1. Then I have more control over it. And then I'm gonna do mega potions 1 by 1. Then there's a lot of stuff we don't really have yet, so I'm just gonna leave mega potions and first aid meds there. We'll edit it later when we need it. If you're using bowgun, this is a really great place for you to put the different ammo types you might want to switch to, you might want to craft, or apply to your weapon, and that will be hitting F2 on your keyboard and then hitting the number key that you want to use. F3 doesn't have much. F4 is communication. If you're playing online, these are great. Put in things that you're gonna say. I think you can set up custom ones somehow. Let's put applaud in. I don't know how to change. Can I change here? No. Okay. It doesn't matter. That's not something that's gonna be the focus of this. So I'm gonna just gloss over that. Cool. So now our radial menu is set up. I don't know if this saves it just by doing that. So if I use loadout and use radial menu, okay, then it's been saved. Cool. So now if I hit F1, well, you can't really see it because we're in town. But once we get into mission, which is what we're about to do right now, I can show off the radial menu a little bit. So now we have these optional missions we just picked up. A Thicket of Thugs. That's the mission we just did. And this is the one that was handed to us by the gourmand. And it will let us get new canteen ingredients when we do it. Which basically allows you to more likely eat good foods or craft more food options. Basically more canteen ingredients are just objectively good, and they'll give you more options when you're trying to get what you want. And if you do the chef's choice, you're statistically more likely to get good benefits. Bam. All right. As always, never forget to eat, even early on, even though it costs you 50 zenny, always eat. I like to do chef's choice typically. Early on, the fish platter would be pretty good to get defense up. This gives 20 health. Health is extremely important early on, so I'd recommend getting that. And if you have the Guardian set, like, definitely get HP. Like, you're already gonna have a lot of damage reduction. You're gonna want a lot of HP to just, you know, that'll give you the most effective HP. And effective HP is basically I have like a good concept in my head, like, of what effective HP is. Also, I missed those herbs. I should have grabbed those. Grab the herbs over here. But I'm actually stuck on how to explain it. Effective HP is kind of the combination of damage reduction or mitigation with the health you have. So it's like, in a sense, a multiplier. Like, say you have 0 armor and 100 HP, you have 100 effective HP because, you know, imagine 0 armor is you reduce 0 amounts of damage. So you take 100% of the damage people send your way. Also, I'm running the wrong way for Ketsudon, so let's head over there. Ketsudons are over in this eastern area, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. But yeah, you have 100 HP, 0 armor, you have 100 effective HP because all the damage you take... Oh, I'm getting pinged to go over here. I should probably follow the leader. If you have, say, 50 armor, and I'm just going to simplify the math. This is not how it works in Monster Hunter. So I'm just going to do simple math. If you have 50 armor, let's just say that reduces all damage by 50%. So if you take 50 damage from a monster hits you with a 50 damage attack, oh, the handler's over here. And now, okay, now he wants me to go up north. Oh, Ketsudon right over here. Cool, let's kill him. Then a 50 damage attack is going to end up doing 25 damage to you. So that means you can take 4 50 damage hits. So you have 100 HP, 25 4 times is 100 damage. But the damage that the monster was trying to output was 4 50 damage attacks, which is 50, 50, 50, 50 for 200. That means you have an effective HP of 200. So the 50% armor reduction, or 50% damage reduction, doubled your HP. Because now you can take 2 times as many hits. So effective HP, because the value you see doesn't change, but the amount that you can actually tank in reality changes. It can get complicated when there's there's multiple armor values like dodge. So there's damage reduction, which means you take damage. The damage you take does less. It's how to say it. There's no like statistics in that case. It's just like you're reducing damage. It's just like it's a straight up like here your HP's more. But say you have something like 50% damage evasion. So there's a 50% chance that you evade damage. There's not really anything like that in Monster Hunter. There's like Divine Blessing, which is a % chance to reduce damage, and so that has some RNG in it. Oh, the cat's starting down here, so I should go down there. Let me see if I can get this cool leap attack off. Should I do the leap or should I do the slide? Let's slide. Here's my slide. Oh, dang it. All right, hold on. I'll leap off here. Let's say it's a 50% chance to evade damage so that you don't end up taking damage. The math on that is basically the same. You still have 200% effective HP, but there's a chance that a monster hits you twice. It's a 1 in 4 chance So say there's a 50% chance for them to hit you. So 50% chance roll to take 50 damage or not take 50 damage. Then there's the second roll, which is do you take 50 damage again if you took it the first time. And so that's two 50% chances. And if you know the math, that ends up being 25%. So there's a 25% chance that 2 attacks are just going to kill you. But your effective HP is still 200 because there's what is the... I'm starting to confuse myself with the math in my head. But there's like some number of chance that you'll survive 8 hits or 4 hits. So, you know, for 4 hits to only hit you once, I do not know how to do the math on that. That's, you know, like, there's some percent chance, and it will eventually work out to, from what I realize I might be lying to you. Maybe if it's a dodge chance instead of a reduction, it's not the same math to just say your HP is doubled. So yeah, what I'd say is dodge chances still complexify it, but there's math you can do that you use dodge chance to determine effective HP, because there's a chance that you just don't take damage when something hits you. Like, Jawgrass swipes at you, some percent chance that swipe is just not going to do anything. That's dodging, and that calculates in the effective HP. So in Monster Hunter, you really only care about the... Oh, we're gonna hunt Great Jawgrass. Great! I'm gonna collect the tracks because that will show it off on the map. I recommend you doing that because it gives you research points, which are really nice to have to get resources back at base. And they'll level up the research of the monster, so once that levels up and you get better, you can start maps and you'll just know where monsters are because you've gained enough knowledge and understanding of the monster, or your character in game has, to just know where it is. Or you'll be able to collect one footprint and be like, oh, I know where it is. So monster doesn't really have that dodging stuff, I don't think, for effective HP. That doesn't really matter. There are other ways in Monster Hunter you can really help your defense and sort of improve your effective HP, but I wouldn't really think about, even though I just went through all this math about like effective HP, unless you're like, I can't remember their name, they're like Jinx and someone on YouTube. They're the like Monster Hunter math guys. Unless you're one of them, like doing the hardcore calculations to optimize every little damage and defense bit, don't really need to do the math. It's good to know about it and to understand it conceptually. But you know, there's things like HP recovery in this game, where, you know, if you take a hit and you have red bar, you'll gain HP back faster. In some sense, that can be an effective HP booster, because now, you know, even though you take damage, you mitigate a little bit of that damage through time, and the time it takes for that damage to restore is quicker, so you're less likely to lose all that red HP, and we'll maybe get into some of that. But now we'll focus on fighting this monster. So that wasn't very good of me to take that hit there, but it didn't really do much damage, so who cares. So this is a Great Jawgrass. He's the first large monster you face. They make him relatively simple, so see, as I'm running around here, he's just doing forward bites. He did a forward bite, I can hit, roll, and he's not going to hit me. So what I did there is I held forward, I attacked, and then I hit space while holding sideways. For the greatsword, that's the straightforward way to do it. So now you see him exhausted. So because he was exhausted, I went into my next attack and charged with my sword. I made a mistake here. of when you flinch back. I should have not done my next attack, or when I was charged on the next one. If I see I'm gonna make a mistake, I can tackle and roll out of the way. Sometimes that's a little faster. But a lot of what I'm doing here is I'm hitting his face, rolling away. And this highlights a very common skill that you're going to use with a lot of weapons. I mean, Lance you're not going to really want to hit and put away, but it's the same concept of do damage, focus on defense. So know how much damage it's safe to do, or like what opportunities you have to damage the monster, take them, and then focus on not getting hit. Then find another opportunity. Okay, opportunity. He just swung, I can hit his back leg. He's turning to face me. I saw him pull one claw up while all of his other feet were on the ground, so I knew he was gonna do a swipe. When he's doing that bite, you can see him roll his head back. So let's look at this. So see how his head goes back? He does a big leap. That one's a little different than the head shaky one. See how he pulls the front leg back there? That's because he was doing a big swipe. So when his head went back, he did a little bit of an attack forward. When earlier he lifted his whole body, he did a leap forward. So those are two different attacks, and you might want to deal with them in different ways. But this guy's a lot of attack forward. So if I do get behind him and start attacking his tail, he might start doing different attacks from behind. So right now the monster is focusing on my cat, so I get lots of opportunities to just hit it from behind. Right now I'm not really focusing on being optimal with my damage. I could be getting a lot of good damage opportunities in here, but right now I'm just sort of showing off the monster. And I'd recommend doing this yourself. Try to see what you can do while not taking any damage, and see like where you attack and what sort of damage values you get. See what kind of attacks it does when you're in different spots of his body, and sort of find out some of the safe zones. If you can, a lot of times the monster's face is where you're going to get a lot of damage. So here's a good example of when you just want to go straight for the face. So I just did a mounting attack, which I'll find an opportunity to explain at some time. I do the mounting attack, it falls over. I'm a bit unlucky here, but I can still hit him. So I'm gonna do 1 slash, 2 slashes to his face, and I'm gonna focus on trying to hit his face and get off that big attack. So that's the big damage combo. I was able to knock him again because I did damage to his foot. When you break parts or you flinch a monster, which happens when you do a certain amount of damage to certain parts, there can be some more conditions to it, but it's basically just a certain amount of damage to certain parts. They can flinch, or something can happen. In this case, I broke his leg, and it caused him to fall back. So if you combine a lot of these knowledge, and you know what makes someone a veteran hunter and makes Monster Hunter so good and fun, I'm gonna let it get away and do a little bit of mining. So good and fun is there's constantly these little elements of improvement you can do. So say you get really good in Monster Hunter, like you're doing tons of damage to monsters, you're doing these big giant hits, chunking it down, but in hunts you're constantly going through mega potions. Like, look at me. I've used very little potions. I actually haven't used a single potion this whole match. You can look at my health in the top left. I've lost not a lot. Also, I should sharpen right now. So I'm gonna spam 1 on my keyboard to pull out the whetstone. That's because I've focused a lot on defense. I'm not focusing a lot on doing damage. I'm very familiar with the monster, and so I can play this very defensive way and not use a lot of potions. So if you're somebody who's constantly doing tons of damage, but you notice yourself using potions left and right, that indicates maybe you could focus on defense a little bit more. You're gonna lose a lot of time, but it will make you more of a veteran. And so that's what, I really messed that up. I should have done it the straightforward way. So I'm gonna do what it tells me here. I'm gonna flinch it into the wall and kill it. So what I'd call a veteran hunter in this game is somebody who's taken all of these minute details of Monster Hunter, come to understand them, and combines them together in a beautiful way. This game there's a lot of science to it in a sense, but there's sort of a beautiful art. When you see speedrunners with this game, or you see veteran hunters in this game, or when you start to learn this game yourself, you see the creative elements in the ways to sort of play and use your skills against the monsters and to exploit the monsters and do really fun and cool things. Like a quick example of that is there's a monster I struggled with a lot in Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, called the Nargacuga. And one strategy I learned against it was the specific tactic where if you look for this one attack by him, so he does this thing where he puts one leg forward and one leg back and he gets ready to pounce. If you see him charge that for a certain amount of time, he will do 4 attacks in a row. And at the end of the 4 attacks in a row, you can go behind his back left leg. This is extremely specific, by the way. Back left leg. Charge your greatsword, standing in a general distance or general position. Fully charge it, let go, and by the time he does finishes his animation and starts to turn around, his head will face you right as your sword goes down. And I learned, like, this monster was like hell for me to kill. I like died many times over to it. I had no idea how to beat it. I saw the strategy online. And I was like, wow, this is a cool strategy. I learn it, and I do it, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. And like, I'm starting to do all this damage. I do it nonstop. There's no, like, art to it whatsoever. It's science. I'm waiting for the stack. I'm doing that attack. And that's cool. As I got to learn the monster and understand it, that became a tool set. It was, now I'm just playing with my greatsword normally, I'm getting attack opportunities in, and when I see this attack, I'm like, oh, here's an opportunity, get for the setup. You see it do its attacks, does setup, bam, you swing in, get a bunch of damage. And then you continue with like, okay, it does its claw attack, I'm just gonna poke it in its tail. It does its tail slam, I'm gonna poke it in its tail. I'm gonna stick in general, like, there's a lot of ways to like play Monster Hunter, but these elements of research or these things you do and learn, like these skill sets, just like in art, like you learn different techniques for doing art. The actual like fun comes in taking these ideas and starting to express them, and that's why, that's what makes veteran hunter. They're a skilled artist. And so if sort of my point was about this player who's gotten really good at offense. Like, you've gotten good at offense. You know how to dish out damage. That's great. If you are struggling, like if you notice you use a lot of potions, you get hit a lot, and you're struggling with it, that tells you maybe I should learn a little bit more defense. Maybe I should sit back and observe the monster more. When are good damage opportunities? When am I safe to do certain things? And some of that's going to be trial and error. You're going to be like, oh, this attack looks like I can damage here. Will it work here? And then you can utilize your offense tactics that you learned in a new light, in a new defensive way, or in a new creative way. And then you can learn and grow as a monster hunter. If you notice yourself taking really long time with hunts, you're not taking super many hits, but you're really not doing a lot of damage, then that tells you, hey, I need to work on my offense a little bit. And so, that's some of the things I would recommend and doing early on. You shouldn't focus too much on like all the minor details as you're first playing. I would highly recommend just getting used to it. But hopefully this, the explanation or giving you an introduction to these concepts and ways to look while you're just playing, while you're just having fun, while you're just attacking and figuring out the controls, figuring out different things, what they do, looking at the monster, looking at their dope design. Because, like, come on. Like, one of the things about Monster Hunter that's amazing is the monster design. Like, they're all really cool and detailed and a lot of fun to look at. While you're doing all that stuff, maybe, you can, in a little bit of your mind, notice, like, oh, hey, I keep getting hit by this attack. Do I understand how to see it? Am I positioning myself well? And just sort of occasionally asking yourself those questions. So that does it for the second video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a lot. Hopefully you had fun. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.